So here we have this VEVOR mini stair stepper. Now, full disclosure, they did send this to me for free, but the opinions in this video are my own. It comes with this mat you can put on your floor so you don't damage it. It also comes with a really simple user manual, this little plastic bag with a battery in it, as well as these sort of resistance bands, which we'll test out in just a minute. Right out of the box, this stair stepper machine is basically ready to go, but you will have to pop out this screen and insert the battery into here if you want it to light up. Anyway, this stair stepper machine is super solid. The main frame is made of a powder coated steel that's welded together. It has these sort of plasticky feet that kind of help it stay in place. These foot pads are also made of plastic and they have a sort of grippy surface on them. Anyway, basically how this thing works is there's this little pulley system at the bottom that's connected to both of the foot pedals. And when you push one foot pedal down, it pulls the other one up. And you'll also notice that each foot pedal has its own gas strut, and that's to add a bit of resistance. And now taking a closer look at the screen, it is pretty small, but it's still easy to read. Up in the top right, it keeps track of how many steps you've climbed, and depending on what setting you have it on, it'll show the reps per minute, or the amount of time you've been using it, or an estimation of how many calories you've burned. Or if you have it on the scan setting, it'll cycle between all three. And to switch between those, just press the red button. You can see the arrow points to which one it's currently displaying. And then if you want to reset the count, you just hold it down for a few seconds and it'll reset. And you can't manually shut it off, you just have to wait 2 minutes without doing anything and it'll automatically shut off. Anyway, I went ahead and tried this thing out and it actually works pretty well. It'll definitely give you a good workout if you keep at it for a bit. And it's really easy to use, you just step onto it with one foot and then the other, and then you can start walking. It works pretty well, but it doesn't quite compare to going up actual stairs, and that's because it seems to max out at about 60 steps per minute, or at least that's what it maxes out at with my weight. This does have a max weight capacity of 330 pounds, so if you're closer to that, then you might be able to go a bit faster. Anyway, one thing you do have to be careful of is you want to make sure your feet are all the way up towards this front bumper plate here, because if they're not and they're kind of hanging off the edge, then it's not quite stable and it might kind of fall backwards a bit. Anyway, if you want to use the mat it came with, that just goes right under here just like this. It'll help protect your floor a little better, but it does make it slide around a bit, so I personally prefer to use it without the mat. Anyway, it also came with these two resistance bands. They have plastic handles on one end, and then on the other end there's these plastic clips. They clip right onto here just like this. And then you can hold onto these and stretch them out to work out your arms while you're also working out your legs. And they do also help you balance a little bit better, but they're not necessary. The plastic handles and the clips do feel a bit cheap, but they work. And I mentioned it before, but especially when you're using these bands, you gotta make sure your feet are all the way forwards, otherwise you're kind of gonna pull yourself up and kind of flip this thing backwards. Also, one last thing to mention, if you want these pedals to be at a bit steeper of an angle, then you can flip this over to the bottom here and tighten up this knob. That tightens up the pulley and makes these steps go a bit higher. But yeah, overall this thing's pretty cool, works pretty well. It's also nice and sturdy. I think the little screen that keeps track of some of the data is pretty cool as well. I personally prefer real stairs just because you can walk up them a bit faster, and of course they're a bit more natural. But if that's not an option for you, or this would just be more convenient, then it works pretty well.